Outlet community, and I am ecstatic today because I have one of my guys with me, Desmond McCain. Man, I mean, it's not something that he doesn't do. I think everything he puts his hand to works, but I'm glad to have you, Dez, today as we deal with finance. We need to talk about these coins, man. So what's going on, Dez?
Right. No, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Minister Vinny. You know, I'm happy to be here. You know, known you for a very long time now, and however I can help, you know, whatever advice I can provide, you know, I'm with it.
Hey, man, I just have had the privilege of just kind of watching how God has just supernaturally had his hand on your life, just your heart, to just really give back and pour, committed to community. But I believe that as we're closing out 2020, that we need to really start giving some thought to our finances. And I'm like, man, I got to bring my go-to on. My thing is, if I'm blessed to have a relationship with someone and it's benefiting me personally, those who listen to the content I produce, I'm like, hey, I want you all to benefit from the same places that I benefit from. So Dez, can you let those who are like watching this conversation or listening to the podcast, so married, family, what's going on, man?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm Dez, married with 2 kids now. Been married for 6 years. Just had an anniversary a couple days ago. So been married for 6 years, 2 kids. I have a bright young son, 11 years old, and then I have a beautiful young daughter. She just turned 2 as well. So, yeah, blessed.
So, like, for the audience, because you are a man of God, husband, father, but also business owner, entrepreneur. How many businesses do you currently run, operate?
So yeah, I'm somewhat of a serial entrepreneur. I've actually been like that since high school, you know, from doing, you know, the whole, you know, you heard the story, selling candy and soda to, we used to sell t-shirts back in the day. So definitely a serial entrepreneur. Currently right now, my main thing is I am a CPA. So I have a company called Seed Business that I'm a partner in. I have 2 other partners. So that is our full service accounting firm. We actually run another company within Seed Business called the Tax Bar Atlanta. It's really just a front in our office, which we've set up to look just like the Apple Store, but you can come there and get your taxes done. It looks just like the Apple Store. So that's the Tax Bar Atlanta, and we're located in Glenwood Park. And so secondarily, I'm a creative. I'm really a creative at heart, you know. So, you know, being a CPA, it definitely, you know, pays the bills. You know, it's the day-to-day work, but I love, you know, having that creative outlet. And so I actually am a partner with my brother in a media company called 3/5 Media. And so we do video production from live streaming weddings to documentary things to sports. We're actually very heavy in the sports arena. But like I said, we do a lot of live stream weddings, and we do some documentary work as well. So that's kind of the second, third business, you know. Tax Bar Atlanta is kind of the same, one and the same.
Well, I'm you kept me out of jail this year, so I want to thank you for keeping me out of jail. I want to let y'all know I have brought my personal CPA on here, so I'm not just bringing somebody from listen, I trust him,
right?
So if y'all see me, you know, I'm out here.
Oh man! And so then, lastly, me and my wife it's actually a family thing. So really, it's me, my wife, and my son. Of course, my daughter, but you know, she can't really talk right now. But she was there. But we all wanted to start a kind of like a clothing brand, a t-shirt brand. Okay. And so it's called Established in God. Basically, it was like our way of being able to spread the gospel. So, you know, a personal story for me, I'm not the one to go out and witness to people, you know, just, hey, do you know Jesus? Or, you know, do you know what's going to happen, you know, if you were to pass away? That's just not my thing. My dad has that gift.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not good. That's just not my thing. So
shout out to Brother Kev. Oh,
right. But for me, I've always been someone who was able to kind of lead by example. So someone that people can come to and be like, hey, Dezz, like I see things are going, so and so in your life. Why? And that's how I was able to open up that door. And so establishing God is just kind of like me and my family's way of being able to spread the gospel in our way, and then make sure, we're touching people and kind of, shedding light on who Jesus Christ is, who, our Lord and Savior is, as well as, selling t-shirts, and enabling them to then spread the gospel through what they wear as well. And so we've come up with a couple things that, we've been pushing out lately. All glory be to God. It's been, amazing. Like I've never thought that it would be going as well as it has. Actually, that's probably keeping me the most busy right now. And I just, so as an entrepreneur, if you have any, as someone who is an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, if anybody watching this, if you have any entrepreneurial aspiration goals, I would tell you to go for it. Like I said, everything that I've done, I just kind of went for it, especially here, like I said, with establishing God, this t-shirt and clothing brand. We just kind of just, stepped out on faith and went for it, and it has really been a blessing. So,
I didn't expect anything different. I didn't expect anything different, man. Just, it first starts just, I think, with your heart to serve and to serve your community well. And I just believe God's hand is just on these endeavors that you're doing, because you see it in everything that you do. So, we're going to make sure in the show notes and in the captions that you all have access to all the businesses that he mentioned, contact info to Dezz. Just, if you want to know more and follow up from this. But I really want to have a candid conversation about money. This year has been, there hasn't been a year like this, I don't believe, in recent days. Yeah, we're in our 30s, but definitely not in our lifetime. At the top of the year, though, there was just so much cash infused into the economy. There was cash infused into businesses, cash infused into households, just cash. And I can remember at the top of this year, folks were living. living their best life, man. And I just live by this principle that the earth is cyclical, life is cyclical. And just in my heart, I just been having this feeling that, it's time to tighten the belt financially. And, I just kind of want to hear from you, just from your seat as a C.P.A., as a business owner, just what are some trends or some things that you've noticed with all the cash that's been poured into our economy?
Well, I will say a lot of people are spending. And, we all know that people want to look a certain way. They may not really be a certain way, but they want to look. And so I've definitely seen a lot of that going on. Just, just spending, they're getting this money here and there, and they're like, there's no kind of wherewithal of where we're actually going. And people are just spending. I've also seen a lot of scams. This is Atlanta. And so, anybody who knows Atlanta is huge on scams, but I have definitely seen a lot of scams going around. I've even had to, advise people that, you're trying to get, this PPP money, you're trying to get these SBA loans. That's not the right way to do it. Definitely need to stay away from that, because, we had this conversation before, the government is giving out all this money. But a lot of people that's getting this money, they're going to come knocking on your door and be like, well, how'd you get this money? Or they're going to be asking questions, and, you don't want to be in a position where you've done something, that wasn't right. And, it causes more problems. So I've definitely seen a lot of that. Definitely stayed away from that, Definitely stayed away from that. But I've also seen some good things. I've seen people use the money wisely, use the money for, to, keep people in their jobs. I work with a couple of restaurants, and they've definitely used the money to be able to help people and help people feed their families, put their people in the right, in the right positions. And definitely seen people really, steward that money correctly, budget it out, don't spend it all at once. And so it's not just all bad. It's been definitely a lot of good.
Got it. So with the influx of cash and what at the early part of this year felt like an abundance of money in the midst of a pandemic, do you see leaner times ahead, and how can we prepare for kind of some things that you may be seeing?
Yeah. So I would say yes. I definitely see leaner times ahead. I think that's just economics. If the government infuses this much cash into the economy, we're bound to see inflation. We're bound to see housing prices, fluctuate. Our everyday goods that we buy, we're bound to see those, just raise in price. And so I would definitely say that right now is the most important time. I know people have heard this, from the beginning of time, but you gotta budget. You gotta budget your money. Whether you're a business owner or personal, individual, family, you gotta budget your money and just spend that money wisely and plan for the future. Some different tools that I would definitely recommend, which is I know a lot of people, you hear budget, but it's like, well, what can I use to budget? Me personally, I use it's an app. Well, it's a website called youneedabudget.com. And basically what that does, it helps you really allocate the money that you have in certain buckets. And that way you kind of already put that money aside. So say you have gas bill, electricity, your electricity bill, your gas bill, groceries. At the beginning of, a particular month, you can go ahead and allocate, hey, I know I'm going to get paid $3,000 this month. I can go ahead and allocate accordingly. And that it'll help you keep track and make sure, help you keep you on track to make sure that you're spending money wisely. So that's kind of a tool that I use both with, personally and within my business, just to kind of help me budget. And there's other budgeting tools out there. That's just the one that I use. But the moral of that story is you got to budget your money. You got to.
So to have a plan
have a plan. Mm-hmm.
Now we're coming into really the beginning of a new tax season. So we're almost ending the extension period, in a couple of weeks at the time that we're taping this. And then we're going to be closing out books and getting ready for tax season. What can we do? Let's talk about personally. I know personally from a actual expenditure side or a paycheck side, we've gotten certain deferments due to COVID. What are some things we can do, or what are some things we need to kind of be on the lookout for that may shock us if we're trying to file next year?
Right. Yeah, you should definitely, we did get those, Social Security tax deferments. Basically, your employer may have, not taken that out of your check or whatnot. However, has worked with, someone's particular employer.
Does it mean they don't owe it?
It does not mean they don't owe it. Though. Still owe that money. What that really was it was just a pause. We'll give you a break right now, but on the back end, they're gonna have their hand out. I don't know if anybody's seen the Proud Family, but the sisters, they're gonna be asking for that money back. You know what I'm saying? And so I would definitely say, just be mindful of that, and just like everything that we talk about today is gonna go back to the original thing we said. How are you budgeting? How are you planning?
Yeah.
So be mindful as you continue to spend as tax season comes up. You probably need to go ahead and be setting aside, portions of your income to be ready, just in case you do have, to pay something back. And when you file taxes, when all of that kind of reconciles, there's other factors that play a part. You may have children, dependents, you may be married filing separately, jointly, additional deductions here and there. And that's just a further conversation. So, give me a call, give me a call. That's just a further conversation. But just in a nutshell, making sure that you're planning, putting money, aside just in case that does come about.
I mean, these are priceless tips that you're giving us. And as we said, we have your contact information in our show notes if people want to contact you about their specific situation. But that is a great point, like with this tax deferment, not forgiveness.
Not forgiveness.
to be mindful of that, because I really believe that, similar to how in the Bible, going back to the book of Genesis with Joseph, God came to him and spoke to him before the natural laws that were in the earth took place, and adhering to that wisdom in the midst of what was a famine for culture it was actually abundance for him. And I think that just as the body of Christ is important for us with all the wisdom and all the word, and for those who exercise prudent financial principles, that we do so that we can be a bridge to others who may not be as fortunate as we are. So I want to ask you a question, like in your life, what is like that one book that has been like, yeah, that's my go-to, that one book that's like, yeah, if you haven't read this, you need to read it?
I would definitely say what really changed my mindset on money, and I'm sure people have heard this before, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I cannot recommend that book enough. That really changes my total mindset on how money works, on what I should be, shooting for as I get older, and I have a family. As I teach my children about money, I would definitely say that is the book that really kind of changed my perspective. And there's tons of books I've read. I will say secondarily, I do read a lot of Jewish principles and how Jewish people really understand money. And so there's some books out there I can't name off the top of my head. I'm sure they're somewhere in my bookshelf, but books, like I said, that just the Jewish principle and the Jewish view of how money works, it's excellent. It's mind blowing. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad, can't recommend that enough.
Just following up on what you're saying, I remember reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad as a teenager, and it just kind of shaped my perspective about finance and kind of really formed my blueprint. So much so that I'm really thinking about, I don't know if it's going to be a blog post or what. I want to do Rich Pastor, Poor Pastor. You can do it in any field, because most people don't understand that. Listen, this is a marathon. You don't have to go broke to go rich.
Right.
Put certain principles in place. Look for the best deal. To your point with the Jewish wealth, I remember I may have shared it. I know I've shared it with you all, but I may have shared it with those who are listening about my best friend growing up was Jewish. And so we were about 6 months apart in age. And when he turned 13, 6 months before I did. So when he turned 13, I was invited to his bar mitzvah. And it was a big whole weekend celebration, man. And we were playing basketball Monday, like we always do. And I said, man, how was your party? He said, yeah, it was all right. I got about $38,000 in cash and investment. So I'm like, okay. I mean, we friends. We're across the street from each other. I mean, I got that to look forward to when I turned 13. Right. And so, at my laser tag party and $165 later, I realized their culture was a whole lot different than my culture.
Right. And that's something like, to piggyback, I wish that is absent in our culture. And it's just amazing. That's not just the Jewish culture. There are other cultures that, when their children come of age at 13, 14, wherever it may be, they are blessed and put in a situation financially that they won't have to do, they'll have a leg up, And unfortunately, there's other factors, we can go down the line as far as history is concerned. There are other factors, but then just personally in our community, we're not necessarily instilling that in our kids.
Yeah.
Just those different ideals and those principles. And then, then just us as adults, we don't already have those ideals ourselves.
Yeah, they aren't framed in our cultural ideology. It's right. Not a part of, if we're going back to the Jewish side and Jewish perspective, living with those of the Jewish faith, when we're talking about morality or religiosity, they aren't, let me put it like this. In my own experience, I grew up in church. So that's what we did. And, we did our best to refrain from certain lifestyles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They just adhered to the principles. Right. So while we were abstaining from all these moral faux pas, we were still lightweight broke. Right. Them jokers were living their best life, yet excelling. Now there are some very devout Jewish people that I know, but in general, that's not in their focal point about am I going to be blessed or not based on how I live. It's just a mindset that, oh no, I'm gonna be taken care of, and I expect to.
I expect, you know, based on certain things that I do, I just know that that's what God has for me.
Yeah.
You know, it goes into a whole nother comment. That goes into grace and all that, faith and all that. But
Man, listen. So I got this series that's I don't, at the time we're taping this, it's gonna be I'm gonna do it this weekend, but it's called Grace, Grit, Grow. Grace gets you to the door, grit gets you through the door, but your commitment to growth keeps you in the room. And we got to understand all those things work together.
Right. I like it.
Yeah. Oh man. So before we leave out today, like, what's one thing you want to leave with everyone that's listening, or like point of encouragement, or just something to think about? Like, what's kind of been burning on your mind, your heart?
I mean, I would say, especially during this time, just like we goes back to the very beginning, just plan, budget, plan, making sure that you're putting aside money for the future, because you don't know what the future holds. You really don't. It's crazy out here. Things change on a day-to-day basis, and with the election coming up, you just don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen, especially after the election. You don't know what's gonna happen. So definitely just plan for your future. Plan for your kids' future. Set money aside, for that rainy day. And then beyond that, I would say, don't hesitate to go after, your goals. I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship, especially in our community. Just, circulating the Black dollar within our community, and just, buying Black, going to other Black, owned businesses, and, helping them, propping them up, especially during this time period. But if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, and, that's something that, God has put in your heart, go for it. I'm trying to tell you, it's going to be a fulfilling, opportunity, or fulfilling thing that you do in your life. And if God has, if it's for you, and God has meant it to be for you, you'll be successful. You know what I mean? But what is the saying? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So yeah. So if there's any time to start, a business, I would say it's kind of weird that I say that, right? On one hand, I'm telling you, make sure you plan, allocate, set money aside. But on the other hand, it's a crazy time to be alive. It's a crazy time to start a business right now. It's just so many different things that are happening that are good. Yeah. I would definitely tell you, if you're an entrepreneur, go for it.
I mean, it goes back to, we can't live in fear, but we need to live with wisdom. I mean,
I love it.
It's like listen.
Let's say better than that.
Let's go for it full of faith, but let's act full of wisdom.
Right.
And because it's going to take us to a whole new conversation just about, guising it under, I'm just waiting on God. But really, a lot of times it's fear that's just gripping us. Mm-hmm. And, I'm just.
Honestly, God's probably waiting on you.
Listen, man, you said a whole word. Man, you said a whole word. Like, right. What you pray for is on the other side of what you feared.
Right.
You fear the unknown, but that's where His grace is.
Right.
Man, we about to get preached to each other.
Right. Right.
No, man, but I want to thank you for just lending your wisdom, your time. Again, if you want to follow up this conversation with Dezz, we've kept his information inside of our show notes, inside the caption. Please reach out. Please support. Again, personally, he and his family, they've been a blessing to me and my family just in so many ways for so many years. And it's just an honor, Dezz, to be able to have you be able to share the wisdom that has just helped so many today. So, man, thank you for joining us for this candid conversation.
Of course, and I definitely appreciate it. It was an honor for me for you to, call on me to join you for this conversation. So I definitely appreciate it, and always here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that's all